New Rock 99X, Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy, the Morning X. Please welcome Martin Short.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone can sit down now. Martin, hello.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing
Excellent.
good.
Your character in Father of the Bride, I mean, hands down, one of the funniest characters I've ever seen in a movie. Now, when it came to the sequel, the sequel to me of the movie was excellent. Were you a little apprehensive about doing a sequel?
Yeah, I was, only because, not because I think there's anything wrong with doing a sequel. Actually, a sequel is the most fun because everyone knows each other. But you do worry that if it's not any good, it's going to tarnish the perception of the first one. But they had just a good idea for it.
Well, also, you as a comedian understand the concept of too much of a good thing.
Right,
and
the
always,
magic of that character climaxed in the first one.
And always leaving them wanting more.
Right.
And you kind of have to ride that line, especially with Franck.
Well, interesting enough, in the studio had pressured everyone to, including myself, to be in the second one more. But I think everyone smarter heads prevailed, and we took scenes out because, again, it's like everyone loves garlic, but no one's going to eat a garlic burger.
Yeah, that's kind of classic studio thinking. They always think that more is better.
Yeah, well, they don't really know.
Right.
I remember when when I first did the first scene of Franck. A lot of that was improvised.
I believe that.
And I got a call from this guy David Hoberman, who was the head of Disney at the time. And he said, well, I saw the dailies, and boy, you seem to be having a lot of fun. And you could tell he was terrified hearing his voice. He said, just sometimes you say yeah, and sometimes you say yes. And I said, no, I know. and I said, David, it's going to be fun, sort of. And but you could tell, he didn't know what it was.
Martin, when this whole thing fell in your lap to do this talk show, what did you think that you could do better than the other 500 talk shows that are out there that would make your show float and stand out?
Oh, I didn't really think of it in terms of doing anything better. I think that the idea is, I guess you could say to an actor, why be an actor when there's all these other actors out there?
Right, there's so many talk shows.
Yeah, but there's also so many movies, and there's so many Broadway shows, and there's so many sitcoms.
Right, and the better ones that stand up move on.
The reality is that these shows become signatures, or they should, of your comedic or performance sensibility, and either people will like it or they won't, and in which case you'll be on either 20 years or an hour.
Were you apprehensive at all about doing that? Thinking that of all the ones that have come out, so many of them fail.
No, I wasn't apprehensive about that.
No?
Because, I look at most movies fail. So that means you couldn't do a movie. Or most
True, you're just in the spotlight daily.
But you're always in the spotlight, ultimately. I think that what was more daunting was the idea of having to do, in my mind, I knew that it would have sketches in it, and there would be opening numbers, and this idea of doing a mini Saturday Night Live every day seemed more daunting. The idea of working that hard.
I really enjoy the show, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. We wanted you on because we think the show is good. But it almost seems like that show is clearly like on the level of any of the primetime or late night talk shows. The production quality, the sketches. Was there talk of you going directly after Jay and David and those guys at first?
Well, the reality is that because it's a syndicated show, there was no potential of that because you'd have to go on after them in every individual market.
I see, right.
In syndication, you make individual sales as opposed to one blanket sale.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, look, when I was a kid, Merv Griffin was on. He was on at 4 p.m., we got it from Buffalo, in the afternoon. And I do think that the downside of daytime television, shows that are on daytime, is there's a tendency to talk down to the audience. Mm-hmm. And I would rather, I don't even, you don't want to talk down to your audience. I have my sister-in-law, a friend of hers who's homemaker, 4 kids, stays home, can't stay up late. And she wrote me this letter that said, I love your show, and it's on at 9 a.m., where she is because she doesn't feel like anyone is condescending to her in the morning. But I think that basically, I don't know. You were happy to see Seinfeld at 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
Reruns.
Yeah. I see your point.
We're talking to Martin Short. Did you know Andy Kaufman? Had you ever met him?
Yeah, I did. My first job in Los Angeles was on a series called The Associates, which is 1979, and it was written and produced by Jim Brooks,
he's
director,
a genius.
and he was doing 2 series at the same time. One was Taxi, and one was The Associates, and we were under one stage, just a wall separating us. And in fact, Andy and I had the same stand-in, Mike Binder, the director.
Oh, sure. He's and he was an old comedian, Mike Binder.
That's right. And then he was a young comedian. And so Andy would come over to the set, and he was very pleasant, very shy, very. You just knew that he was this genius guy. But it was interesting. I mean, I must admit, I worked with a lot of brilliant people though who did characters. So I used to look at Andy, this when he would be thrown off the studio lot in character. I mean, I used to think it was interesting. I wasn't as overwhelmed by it as some, only because I thought, well, Andy's a genius, but so is Catherine O'Hara.
Right.
And she can go from Lola Heatherton right out to, hi, honey, what are you going to have for lunch? So.
Well,
it's kind of his gimmick.
They're trying to, I think, sell this as there's a possibility he's still alive.
Do you really think?
I mean, that's the...
No.
There's even a shadow of a doubt that he faked his death?
I mean, you know what? Is there a shadow of a doubt? I'd say, sure, there's a shadow.
He's out there with Elvis somewhere.
I don't know. I mean, Martin?
No, I think Andy got sick and died.
that's
End of story.
Bob DeMuda said he was on our show, and he said it was amazing that he was when Andy was right near the end, and he was pushing Andy through an airport, and Andy, weighed 95 pounds, and was so sick, and he would come up and say, "We know what you're doing."
Yeah, well, they talk about that in the movie. It's the boy who cried wolf, because everything was such a scam with him. When he sat his friends down and said he had cancer, they were all like, "Come on, that's not even funny."
I think it's wildly interesting to think that of all the people that could have had this early tragedy, Andy Kaufman, who did play the limits and put people on, and you never knew what he was, what was an act and whether he was crazy or whether he was just this great actor. I mean, it was always interesting. So, yeah, I understand where that would start.
Yeah. Before we let you go, I have got to talk to you about Jiminy Glick, who is my single favorite character on television right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wonderful to be here.
It's very nice to have you. This is obviously an amalgamation of a few different Hollywood reporters, and for those who haven't seen Martin's show, Jiminy Glick is, how would you describe him?
He's a slightly pudgy, very dedicated entertainment reporter. He has a TV show called Lalawood, where he interviews people. He just doesn't seem to remember their names or their resume.
He's kind of a combination of Louis Anderson, Joan Rivers, and Bob Goen.
I think
there's a mix.
Wow. Yeah, that impresses me. I think there's a dash of Merv in there, too.
A dash of Merv, exactly. Yeah, it's very funny. And have you spoken with any celebrities, and I don't know if you're going to really cop to this, but have any celebrities not known there was a gag going on? Because when you did the things at the Academy Awards, it seemed like some of them knew what was going on and some of them didn't.
I think they all did. I mean, I don't think they came up on stage. They were told in advance that it was me. Now, maybe if they didn't know who I was and they got up there, I think there was a couple of people who,
Oh, I think definitely some didn't.
Yeah, who didn't quite know what it was.
I mean, the makeup is phenomenal. It's seamless.
The makeup is absolutely frightening. You know why? The first thing we did on my show, this character I played in this piece, Synchronized Swimming, Lawrence Orbach, and I went dressed up and went to Farmer's Market, which is near us, which is a big market.
No, wait, was that the character that you did with Harry Shearer back on Saturday Night Live, where you guys were the Olympic synchronized swimmers?
Yes.
Oh, classic character.
And we went. I went over there. I was like 2 hours makeup, and I went over there, and it was going to be a can of Camry. He was going to work at a deli.
Uh-huh.
And everyone kept coming up to me, and I'd say, "Yes, may I help you?" And they'd say, "Yes, Mr. Short, can we have your autograph?" And I said, So we thought, because the next time I go in a public situation, it has to be really, like, unrecognizable.
Right.
So we came up with this look. And it's brilliant makeup. You really can't see me in there.
Any big guests you're looking forward to on your show, Martin?
Diane Keaton's on today.
Good.
And John Lovitz is on tomorrow.
Someone that you're really looking forward to, like someone that you see down the calendar and you're like, man, I cannot wait for that one.
Well, listen, I love John Lovitz and Nathan Lane, Rosie O'Donnell next week.
Your friends, it seems, have been real cool about doing you the favor of coming on. And I only say that because, guys like Steve Martin, you don't see them that much on talk shows unless they have a new movie coming out. And guys like Billy Crystal. And, they've been very accommodating, it seems.
Absolutely.
Do you call them yourselves and say, hey, can you do the show? Or does it still go through the proper channels?
No, it has to go through the proper channels. You can't do that because, I don't know, it's the idea of phoning up a friend and then having them, they would have to say yes.
Right.
And then they hang up and go,
Then they call their agent. They're like, I booked you for this.
It's Marty's show.
So you have to do it. You have to always treat it like business.
We're gonna watch this in a minute, but the story you and Steve Martin told on your first show about
the wife thing?
The wife about
That was hysterical.
about him and your wife was classic. We'll watch that in a minute. Before we let you go,
The fish quiz.
Oh,
Yes?
yeah.
This is easy. All celebrities in Hollywood, they've all taken it. New York, Hollywood, wherever. It's 15 seconds to name as many fish as you can, and it's a competition, so speed is key.
Yeah.
Warren Beatty, all the big guys are up there in the numbers, and you've got a scoreboard for us.
Dustin Hoffman's taking this quiz. No joke. And like you said, anything underwater counts. It can be a crustacean or a mammal.
Yeah, anything living underwater.
Anything living underwater.
Anything.
We just call it the fish quiz.
You really got to rattle them off fast because the record is pretty high.
Okay.
Speed's king. Here we go. Let's roll. 15 seconds up on the clock. Fish quiz. Martin Short, go.
Lloyd Bridges and Sea Hunt. Perch. Bass. Trout. Pike. Pickerel. Goldfish. Piranha. Whale. Shark. Starfish.
10.
10 is good.
It sounded like Ed Grimley snuck in there for a second.
Okay, octopi.
10's not bad, Martin.
Not bad. That's respectable.
You'll be on the board. Thank you very much, Martin Short. Let's roll this from early, back in the early first couple of shows of the Martin Short Show. It's Martin with Steve Martin, The Morning X.
Now, I have a beautiful wife, as you know, Nancy.
Yes. Why, are you offering her to me?
No, I'm not. No. And you knew my wife before you knew me, correct?
I don't think you want to go there.
No, I do want to go there. Steve Martin, Mr. Movie Star, Mr.
Single.
Bowfinger, new hit.
Well, Mr. Marty Short, big new talk show.
Yeah.
That's the way we're going to refer to each other?
Yeah, no, but ever since we've met, you've always done this
Yes.
recurring joke, which I really find funny, by the way.
In 1971, I was doing a show in Canada.
Uh-huh.
I was the star of that particular show.
Wow. It was
And
cable.
There was... and there was, some young dancers on the
Yeah.
show. And one of them was Nancy Dolman, who became Mrs. Martin Short, Nancy Short.
Right.
And she was very, very cute and very attractive. And, I might add, so was I.
And what is the point of the ongoing torment that you constantly make me slightly feel
Just
that you...
wonder. I mean, just
wonder.
maybe if.
So on national television,
To wonder maybe if.
I'm going to ask you for once and for all. And I want you
Are
to
you
honestly...
sure you want to ask me?
I'm so frightened right now. But I'm going to ask anyway.
Yeah.
Did anything happen between you and my wife, Nancy?
Not in the 70s.
The best of the Morning X.